Hey, how's it going? We've been live for
Good,
about a minute, apparently. But,
good morning,
hmm,
people. Yeah, Tommy first.
yay! There you go, Tommy. You got a star put on your name for being the first. Hmm. Anyway, we got a little bit of an interview here with Robbo. I got a couple of questions. Um, some ignorant people didn't get back to me, but you get that. Anyway, we got a variety of people got back to me, which is good. I'm happy with that. Some funny questions, some serious questions, and some questions you probably won't want to answer. So if you get a no comment, then that's just bad luck. You have to deal with it. All right. So we got how you going there today, Robbo?
Ah, good. Yeah, well as can be expected. It's a bit cooler over here today, thank goodness. It's only about 18 at the moment. Not a high temperature today, so it's starting to cool off a bit.
That's good. That's the way. All right. So first question. I was actually going to put on a tuxedo and stuff and a tie and make it look all proper and stuff, but I ran out of time. So
But you did have
that's my
you've had a haircut,
yeah. I have had another
unlike
fight with
me.
a lawnmower. Another fight with a lawnmower, and I lost.
Yeah,
All right, so we got Fat Axe is first.
Axel. Yep.
Axel, that's the one. He says, "What is your beard your beard routine?"
Let it grow until I get tired of it, and then have a haircut. Receives no
Mm,
special treatment.
yeah, wild man from Borneo treatment is what it gets.
I know. I get the comb dragged through it every day, so.
All right, and his next question is, "What current model lathe would you buy?" And the other one is, "Who is the best turner on YouTube?"
Right. The lathe that I would buy at the moment, well, this is Australia, don't forget, and I think there's the same models overseas, possibly rebadged, is the Woodfast 3040 or whatever they call it, the one with the electric bed that extends out.
Yep.
Um, I gave it a test run about 12 months ago, and it is one of the few lathes that I have trouble stalling. So it's power ratio and everything is fantastic. It's got some good ideas on it and this and that. A few of the other lathes around the same genre, if you like, in my opinion, are overrated. So, but yeah, that's the best lathe. As far as the best wood turners on wood YouTube, I'm not going to comment on that at all. There are a lot of good wood turners on YouTube. There's a lot of dangerous people on WoodTube. There's a lot of people that use in-creek tools for doing using tools for the in-creek cuts. But I don't want to have a libel suit, so I'm not going there.
Fair enough. That's a pretty good comment, I think. Yeah. All right. The next one is Gav. What's your favourite decade and why?
My favourite decade. It'd probably have to be the 1960s, 1970s. In Australia, we were pretty well free to do whatever we liked as long as it wasn't illegal or immoral. We could go wherever we liked. We could stay wherever we liked as far as camping and that goes. And being sort of just after the Second World War, there weren't very many rich people. Everybody was on pretty equal footing as far as financial status went. There were no name brands, no influencers, no dickheads, no bloody snowdrops. And life was good, and this will sound strange. No internet, so we didn't know. Like I remember when the first overseas broadcast was broadcast live on TV, and everybody was just glued to their TVs because it was so absolutely fascinating. Now, of course, we get too much news information straight away, and people have knee jerk reactions instead of sitting down and thinking about it.
Yes.
Now, there was another part to that question as well, I think.
Yeah.
G'day,
Let's
Del.
see. Oh, it just says, what was your favourite part of the decade and why?
Yeah, well,
Favourite
that's
decade and
probably
why?
it. Plus, the other thing was, too, I was a hell of a lot younger then, too. So,
Yes. How you going, Dell? He's back in the 70s.
yeah, I think that really was the best time in Australia anyway.
Yeah.
And possibly no, yeah, possibly the rest of the world as well. And it's when politicians basically did what they said they were going to do. So, and
Yeah.
we had proper parliament where they actually debated things and got things done instead of, oh, you bloody, when the opposition says you're wrong and just won't even negotiate on things. All right.
Yep. All right. We got Mel, Gav's other half.
Yep.
What's been the project or turning? Oh, hang on. Now my device has decided to turn off the screen. Rather. All right, we're getting there. What's been the project or turning that you're most proud of and you enjoyed the most?
That's a hard one. I've got a lot. Well, most of my turning I've been proud of because it's all architectural, it's all visible, and it's not arty party. It's for a purpose.
Yep.
Possibly the biggest project I ever took was the one for Sydney University, where I had a heap of 8 and 9 metre poles to do, and it won a lot of awards. The building won a lot of awards, and that's the Scientia building in Sydney University. I enjoyed it the most. I probably enjoyed it as well. It was hard work, and there were a lot of hiccups with engineers and bloody architects. But it's the one that I'm probably the proudest of because everything was within 1 millimetre of being absolutely correct. So, yeah, probably that one I'd say.
Have to see if we can find some pictures of that.
Yeah, if you look up Scientia building, Sydney University, I turned all the poles for it. So,
all right. How you going, Sid?
g'day, Sid.
Dell said he's done some wood turning, but he's not proud of any of them.
Oh, don't worry, Del. I've got some of them around the place as well. Well, it's partly. No, I'm proud of the turning part. I'm just not proud of the product because it's been designed by some idiot.
Yeah. All right. We got Jamie Page, JP. What's your favourite wood to turn?
Favourite wood to turn? Probably a lot. Funnily enough, a lot of the softer woods. I like turning pine, believe it or not. I know a lot of people hate it, but no, I get a nice clean surface off it, and it's Tassie oak, proper Tassie oak. I enjoy turning that as well, but I enjoy turning most of them, except that some of them are just a little bit harder to turn than most. That's all. Like some of your blackwoods and that tend to pick out. So dare I say it, you've got to go to a scraper instead of a chisel. But that's just the way timber goes sometimes. But no, I enjoy turning most of it, but I prefer softwoods, I suppose.
Yep. All right, we got Rex. What do you consider the most important to pass on to the next generation?
The old cliche, practice and sharp tools, and the right tool for the right job. That's about it.
Okay. I was waiting for more, but okay. All right, we got.
Well, no, there really isn't much more. Like, let's face it, turning is only poking a bit of steel into a rotating piece of timber. So there are some machines that do it better, some tools that do it better, but it is the practice of using what you've got that is probably the most important thing.
Yes. Very cool. Yeah, we got Shay Lee. What piece of advice would you have? And what's the one tool you use in turning that you think everyone should use?
Now, again, if I was stuck on a desert island and only allowed to have one tool, the tool that I would probably want to have is a 3/8. That's English measurement.
Yep.
3/8 bowl turning gouge. 1/2 inch for Americans. What was the first part of the question?
What's some advice that you'd give her?
Same as what I gave Rex. Practice. And then when you think you can know it all, practice some more.
Yeah, that's fair enough. We got Mike. Robbo, you have to build calluses. You have to build up calluses on your hands to keep rubbing those spindles. I'm burning the crap out of my fingers, and those calluses are building up fast. We'll be 70 of those long, thin pens by the time tomorrow comes. Ouch.
Yeah. Yeah, funnily enough, Mike, you're quite right, actually. Like, I got calluses down in here, around there, down in between the thumb and forefinger. That's off the chisel handles down in there. And I get calluses on the index finger and the one next to it on generally both hands, and I get no fingerprints on those two. For a long time, I had no fingerprints. Now that I've slowed down a little bit, yeah, I do have fingerprints, but the skin was so tough on those fingers, I'm a diabetic, that I'd have the little pricker. I had to use that on my third finger, my ring finger, because the little needle part just wasn't long enough to get through the tips of my fingers. So, yeah, you do develop calluses.
Hello, Shay. How are you?
G'day, Shay.
Then he's got, Mike's also got, I've heard a cup of tea made with Robbo shavings give you special powers with the skew. I thought it was a myth, but now I'm starting to believe it.
All problems are solved with a cup of tea. See?
It's got coffee written on it.
Yeah, I know it's got coffee written on it, but it's tea. I'm not allowed to drink coffee, so.
All right. So Tommy's got, all right, so you've probably answered this one already, but we'll go for it anyway. He's got, what's your favourite architectural turning and your favourite non-turning, like bowl?
Favourite architectural turnings. I like doing, I like actually doing veranda posts, and I love doing balustrading, because it's got to be either right or wrong. And when you get 40 or 50 balusters all lined up, and there was no deviation between them, you get a bit of a swelled head. And yeah, that's the pride coming through. Favourite non-turning, like non-spindle turning, which is real turning. Probably little boxes, funnily enough. I do them every now and again. But,
Yep.
yeah.
All right. So we got, and he said the other day in one of my lives, the chat conversation got to extreme sports. What's the most extreme thing you've done, Robbo? And how far would you go? How far would you have gone?
Mostly drove rally cars. I
Ah,
used to drive rally cars through the scrub.
yep.
And the worst thing that ever happened to me was I rolled down a hill 8 times. I misjudged the corner and came off the edge of it, and we rolled down a hill 8 times, my brother and I. My brother was my
Wow.
navigator. And just put it on his wheels and kept going, basically.
How you going, Axel? Sorry.
G'day, Axel.
Yep. That was a V-dub, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to rally Volkswagens. We used to build racing engines and things.
Yep. Nice. All right. So this one's from me. If you never got lead poisoning, would you have stayed a mechanic?
It wasn't lead poisoning that stopped me from being a mechanic. I got lead poisoning when I was doing my apprenticeship because I was serving. My apprenticeship was in a service station, and we used to serve petrol in those days. And there weren't a lot of automatic pumps around, and you had to put your ear down to the fuel tank, basically, to hear when it was starting to fill up. Otherwise, you spilled it down the side of the cars. So, of course, all fuel had lead in it in those days too for lubrication of the pistons. And you were breathing in lead all the time anyway. I got lead poisoning, which made me pretty crook for a little while. But the reason I gave away being a mechanic was that I got Meniere's disease, which is a balance thing, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. So I couldn't crawl around under cars anymore without getting sick or falling over. Also faced with a massive refit of the workshop. I was working for myself then because of electronics and computer operated cars coming in and this and that.
Yep.
And the other reason is I was just plain sick of it too. And I've always said when you get sick of something, you shouldn't be doing it because you don't do it properly. So you're better off not doing it all, full stop. So that was the main reason I gave away being a mechanic.
Yeah. And what legacy would you like to leave behind?
Don't know. That's a hard one. That I probably the one that I'd like to think is that I've helped people to achieve something that they thought they couldn't. So that's probably the best way I can put it.
Sorry, can you repeat that? Because I've just
sorry,
the screen just froze.
Did you get
completely.
the answer?
No, I got the start of it, and that was it.
That I've helped people achieve something that they didn't think they'd ever achieve.
This one included, definitely. All right, so we got Chris Bailey Woodworks. What's the most frustrating? What's the most frustrating thing you see in new turners?
So many things. And it's not just new turners, it's it's turners that have been turning for a while that they fiddle fart roughing down something instead of getting into it and getting it out of the way so as they can get it up to a speed where it's operating at the correct speed.
Yep.
There's a lot of
Okay.
other things too, but I'm not going there.
Yeah, I was about to say, how many hours have you got, Chris? And then he's also got what are the good things you've seen new turners do?
Their willingness to learn, probably. And I'm talking about turners that watch other good turners, like, you know, like, bugger it, I'll say it. I get really tired of people saying, "Oh, that looks fantastic. That looks fantastic," and it really doesn't. It's ugly. So that's I like to see new turners that use a little bit of imagination and don't turn dog bowls or brake drums, and
Yes.
put a little bit of style into their work.
All right. And Shay said you definitely have left that legacy, Robbo.
Thank you, Shay.
He's asked something else. I know the answer to it, but I'll say it anyway. If you had the opportunity, would you travel to the US?
20 or 30 years ago, probably would have, but I actually love flying, but I find I don't want to go overseas. I've just I'm happy in my own little world, and there's a lot of Australia yet that I haven't seen. So I'd rather be. Shay's saying we're frozen. Actually, looks all right here.
It might be just the delay.
Yeah. No, not these days. I'm too old to travel, and I'm happy with where I am. So.
Yep. All right. You got Pete Twisted Trees. Can I buy you a beer?
No, but you can make me a cup of tea.
It probably just delays, Shay. You're off to the edge of the world a little bit compared to. We could all die tomorrow, so let's live for today. That's what Pete said at the end of his.
Oh, you're dead right.
Yeah. And we got SK Crafts, Steve.
Yep.
Yeah. If you hadn't got into production turning, what career do you think you would have taken, and why?
Well, I started off as a motor mechanic. Oh, sorry. These days it's auto technician, not a motor mechanic, and diesel fitter. And I probably would have still been doing that, except that probably more in a managerial role rather than hands-on. But funnily enough, I always dreamt of being an architect, and I might have even taken that up. I don't know, but g'day Rex. But woodturning's been good to me, and I've enjoyed it. In fact, well, like I said before, if I don't enjoy something, I just don't do it. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. How you going, Rex? There's no such thing as being late. You can just go back and watch it after. No biggie. Got Cade.
Yeah, Kate wanted to know if a woodchucker chucked wood or something, wouldn't it?
Yeah. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck chucked wood?
Well, that depends on what time of the morning you start. and what time you knock off. So it's variable.
Yes, I have, Rex. Yours was the fourth question. All right, and Kate also has when did you start turning? How long have you been turning? And what's the oddest item you've turned?
Poor, jeez. All right. I started turning in probably about 1974, 75, and that was wood turning, but it wasn't making anything. Funnily enough, it was making wooden jigs and things for fitting shafts into gearboxes and things like that. I used to turn it down on a metal lathe. So yeah, it's sort of wood turning. It was turning wood to make spigot shafts and things like that, so they could line up clutches and put the bottom lay gears into gearboxes and things where the bearings wouldn't fall out. And that's where I started. Anyway, I used to do low voltage fit outs on yachts. The bloke in the factory behind our factory used to build ocean racing yachts like you see on the America's Cup and round the world yachts like
Yep.
that. And I used to do all the solar work on it and generators and all the 12-volt wiring on them. And he was a Yorkshireman, didn't have much of a sense of humour, the old Steve. But in the corner of his workshop was a big pile of stuff underneath an old ex-army tarp. And I asked him one day, I said, look, what's underneath the tarp there? He said, oh, past life. When he migrated from England in the 1950s, he came out to Australia and he was a factory wood turner. He worked in a furniture works and he was a proper wood turner, apprenticed and all of that when it was a trade. And there was a lathe underneath there, which is Wadkin, which is what my reg is, a big RU. And I said, oh, I'm interested in wood turning. He said, oh, are you? He said, I've always been interested in metal turning. So 2 or 3 nights a week, he'd come over to my place. I'd teach him metal turning, and he taught me wood turning, and that's how it started. I am picking on Yorkshireman Tommy. I tell you, man, I tell you what, his accent was so broad, I just about needed a bloody interpreter to understand him. But and that's how I got sort of started in it. Plus, we were out one day and a friend wanted 4 table legs, and where we happened to be is a recreation village, and they had a wood turner there. It was an old gold rush town, and they had a wood turner there, and she said, oh, I'd like 4 legs. I wonder if you'd do 4 legs for me for a table that I want to build. And I said, well, I can do that. And Julie nearly fell over. That's my wife. Nearly fell over because she knew that I hated wood turning or woodwork in general. So anyway, I made those 4 legs, and that's basically where I got started. And because of my Meniere's disease and the fact that I wasn't interested in learning anymore, doing anymore, I sold my mechanical repair business and couldn't sit around doing nothing. So I took up wood turning as my living. Did craft markets for a couple of years or 12 months or so. Found there was no money in craft markets or that. So I took up architectural turning, and yeah, it served me pretty well. Now I think I'll just read the rest of the question right on. And what's the oddest thing I've ever turned? The oddest thing I've ever turned. That's actually a hard one. I've turned some funny things like a 4-foot Yeah, I'll get on to answering your questions in a minute, Rex. Um, uh, Probably the oddest thing I've ever turned is a 5 foot long rolling pin. I've had a few odd requests for various.
Well, you can say them on here, Robbo. You can say what those ladies requested if you like.
Yeah, yes, some odd things like dildos and things that I've had as well. But possibly the oddest request I ever had was a 5 foot rolling pin until I had to run in rails for an even thickness to make pie crust from a bakery. So um, yeah, no, the table legs when we first sailed, yeah, for a friend. And just to answer the other question, I know we weren't going to answer questions out of the chat,
Yeah.
but now, um, did you ask your wife what? My wife, funnily enough, does not have any favourite pieces. In fact, she has never ever sat and watched me turn. So she keeps right out. She keeps right out of my workshop in most cases, unless she's bringing me out a cup of tea.
I know her favourite piece. I know what it is, Rex. It's sitting on their dining room table, and Robbo didn't turn it. Hmm.
No, not really. No. Okay,
Dell, come on, mate.
right.
All right, we got Jeffrey Walters. What got you into turning, and also what has changed in turning since you started?
Well, I think I explained what got me into turning. So
Yeah,
that it was a change of career. Uh, the biggest change probably has been high-speed steel tools and chucks, like the four-jaw chucks. Now, until four-jaw chucks came along, we had to use face plates or glue blocks or various other bits and pieces.
yeah.
However, I think that people have gone too overboard on using chucks. They have forgotten a lot of the other ways and sometimes better ways of holding things. So, um, which is rather sad. But the tools, yeah, and then of course there's, geez, I'm gonna have to hide my facing showing there. Carbide tools. Um,
Mm.
Carbide tools have probably been the best thing for long hollowing that have come along. And yes, they do have their uses, but as far as I'm concerned, you can't beat the right tool for doing spindle work uh, using proper chisels and gouges and carbides. It leaves a far better finish, much quicker and easier. So,
Yep. All right. Any questions in the chat that Robbo hasn't read out?
no, Rex.
No.
Rex has asked a question. Do you think there are more people turning today than when you started? No, I think there's either possibly the same or a lot, and in some cases a lot less because we're all getting older and some of them are just falling off the tree, unfortunately.
What turner? What professional turner do you admire the most?
Well, actually, he's dead now. I admire Richard Raffin. Uh, Richard Raffin's still alive. He's doing a nice little series actually on YouTube at the moment. And there was a bloke called John Hewitt, which was a production turner from Sydney. I admire Alan Batty. Unfortunately, he's dead as well. He was an English turner. He and I used to correspond with each other via email and that, and he was a gentleman as well. In fact, a lot of the older turners were gentlemen, unlike me. So, yeah, there's a lot of very, very good turners that you don't see on YouTube and this and that. Like,
Yeah.
they're people that I've met at big wood shows as demonstrators and this and that. Now, there's some others that I admire for their ideas, the ideas that they come up with, because it's something that would just never thought of 20 or 30 years ago. But I don't necessarily admire the techniques that they use to get those ideas, but that's just a minor thing, that's all. So, right.
Now, I've added a couple of questions that you don't know about. Blah, 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 blah. This is a very sensitive question, but I'd like you to answer it honestly. I don't really care if certain people don't watch it because you've said something. All right, just blurt it out. All right. What's your favorite micro? You know, one of those. What do you rub on the wood, or you know, like Triple E or something like that? Or
Well,
what's your favourite?
My favourite actually is, right out. There's basically three. Now, of the three, there's four if I remember rightly. There's Triple E, Yorkshire Grit, and Axe Paste. Now, I've never tried Axe Paste because it's very hard to get out here. I've tried Yorkshire Grit, that's available out here, and I've tried Triple E. Now, they both seem to do the same job. But I use Triple E the most. I prefer Triple E, because it's a lot cheaper than the Yorkshire Grit out here, and it does the same job. Now, they're applied differently. The Triple E will take it up to, in my opinion, a higher shine than what the Yorkshire Grit will. It takes it up to a finer thing. Now, having said that, I've never used the Yorkshire Grit microfine, so I'm not quite sure on that. The Triple E requires no sanding sealer under it. I very rarely use sanding sealer under anything that I do it. So, yes, they both do the job they're designed for. The Triple E, as Glyn has said, his does not use petroleum products as the carriers, whereas the Triple E does. They both do the same job, in my opinion. The Yorkshire Grit is the one that's popular in England. Axe is popular in America, and I think it's parochial because it's easier to get and it's cheaper. And that's probably the criteria for most products. There are a lot of similar products right around the world done in different countries, and because of transport costs and things like that, most people tend to go for the one that's parochial. So, right.
Rex has a question in the chat.
Because we love it. Because we love each other deeply, Rex. That's why.
Because he spends a lot of time in the shed.
Yeah. I'm not a marriage counsellor, so I don't think even marriage counsellors could answer that question.
Yep. Yeah, just stay in your shed for long hours. Only come out for lunch and dinner, and have an intercom system if you want to talk to your wife.
Or a mobile phone.
Yeah. There you go, Rex.
No, probably the thing that I would say is that talk to each other. honestly.
Yeah. Yes.
Certain things, yes, don't say anything about it, but in 99% of cases, tell each other what you're thinking. Yeah, and that too. I thank my wife for everything she does for me.
And Rex, if you haven't noticed, whenever Robbo turns to his left and has a grin that goes from one headphone to the other headphone, you know that's his wife, all right?
Yeah, Julie's just turned up. Right. Okay,
All right.
next question.
That was all the questions that I had. Some people like Sid never gave me a question. Throw you in the deep end there, Sid.
Yeah, just been thrown in front of the bus.
Yep. Wow. Nice going, Rex. Bloody hell.
Yeah, no, this year, 15th of May, is 40 years for Julie and I.
Nearly as long as I've been alive.
Yeah, well, that's right. You're a young pup yet. The other thing is never go to bed with an argument on your mind either.
Yep. Come on, Sid. What's your question? You've had 2 weeks to think of it now. What's the longest sail post you've turned? And the centre, whatever you called it.
Well, it wasn't a sail. It wasn't a mast. It was actually a flagpole. 11 metres, so 35 feet.
How tall is the mast off the ship at the Yarra?
It was a spanker gaff. Wasn't actually a mast on that one. It was 8 metres, I think.
To get some pictures of that.
Yeah, I got photos of the spanker mast. Yeah, I've actually got a video of turning it.
Oi. How you going, Chris?
G'day, Chris.
No, I'm going to delete that question. It's been going for 45 minutes, Chris. How you going, Pete?
G'day, Pete. Oh, I'll answer it. A couple of years ago, a bloke put up this wood turning on YouTube, and I thought to myself, this bloke's going to kill himself if he's not bloody careful. So I don't think I put it into the regular comments. I think I actually PM'd you, didn't I?
No. No.
Oh, I did put it in comments.
You put it in as a comment, and it was a bloody novel.
I sort of pointed out what he was doing wrong and said, do you want some help? And he said, yes, all right. So as it happened, I was coming over to Adelaide to do something else, which escapes me at the moment. And Adelaide's only 800 kilometres away from our place, so just a bit of a day trip. And so I went over and just pointed out a couple of things to him and sharpened up his tools and everything, and that's where it started from. So, yeah. Yeah, the video's still there, Tommy. Just look, it's under my old channel, I think. Look up Spanker Gaff.
And also, Tommy, make sure you get the channel that's got over 1,000 subscribers. If you get the other one, that's only got like 200. That's just his lives.
Yeah. yeah, YouTube mucked me up. So anyway,
That was probably a good thing. It kept your instructional videos separate from the
yeah.
silliness. And Rex has got a question.
No, I just give him a slap up the back of the head like thingo in NCIS.
Gibbs.
Yeah, the give smack.
Hmm.
And then, of course, for dark matter, I've got the voodoo doll.
Yes. It should be still up there, Tommy.
Yeah, it'll still be there, I think. I don't know. I better go and check, I suppose.
And Pete agrees. Head slap is the best training method. All right, Rex. Thanks for coming in. Take it easy. Say hello to Tammy for us.
All right, see you later, Rex. Chris. Geez, that's actually a couple of us were talking about that the other night. And Chris asked, how many people do you think you have trained or helped learn wood turning? It'd have to be in the thousands, I think. So, others I've influenced, I'd hate to think, because I see a lot of wood turners that use something they've learnt from me and showing somebody else. And that's the point I get a little bit annoyed about. Not from my point of view,
Yeah.
but I don't like. I like people to be acknowledged for something they've taught somebody, and even
Yes.
I do it in mine. If somebody like if I picked up a little hint from Cindy Droster or Mark or anybody else, I always say, "Oh yeah, look, I picked up this idea from them, and man, absolutely brilliant." You know. So, but anyway, yeah, probably in the thousands, I think, because I've been to nearly every woodworking show and turnabout in Australia. I've demonstrated in New Zealand. And then, of course, there's YouTube. So you really don't know. But I've probably taught a lot or helped a lot, I hope, anyway. G'day, Mark. How are you?
How you going, Mark?
And Shay, my favourite colour, blue. Like navy blue or black.
See you later, Del. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, see you, Del. Thanks, Pete. Yeah, I know you mentioned that a little while ago. And that's the other thing too. Like I watch a lot of demonstrators. As my father said, always watch idiots because you can learn something from them sometime, even if it's not how to do it. So, and like I say, yeah, I will acknowledge even that.
Well, any more questions in the chat? Finished your tea yet?
Yeah, finished my cup of tea. Hold on, I'm just trying to find this spanker gaff one.
You need to get a cup like Neil's, big one.
Bugger. I can't find my channel, would you believe?
All right, Sid. Thanks for coming in. Take it easy.
All right, see you later, Sid. Excuse me. Got it now.
Do you see what
No,
Chris
not yet.
and Shay have put in?
Let's see. Thanks, Shay. Yeah, Chris. No, I must admit I've set things on fire. Now, I've just got to try and get this. I don't think I can put.
You should be able to put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes up as yours, I think, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
Yeah. There, Pete, there's a link to the spanker gaff. Right. Okay.
All right. Thanks very much for doing that.
That's all right. My pleasure. Thank you all for coming in.
All right. We'll knock it on the head.
All right. See you later. Bye.
Take it easy.